welcome to No Big Secrets Yoga and Astrology weekly video blog, and today I'm going to be covering the RFK assassination. So what I did is I pulled up RFK's birth chart and also Sirhan. Every time I hear that I think pizza. They're so cool they named it twice. Anyway, um, taking a look at RFK's chart there. So if you're not aware, Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated about 50 years ago yesterday, not today. This is actually the day after. And so I decided I wanted to take a look at the astrology of RFK because I've actually never done his chart before. I've done JFK, but not RFK. And so, in 1968, of course my mother was around at the time and I was not, even though some people say I was, but just in general, that was a very chaotic year. And if you look at the astrology of 1968, the astrology that's going on right now is actually more intense. So if you think 1968 was intense, we still got more intensity to come in the next couple of years. But anyway, going back with Mr. Kennedy here. So this is his birth chart. So he was born in Massachusetts, and I pulled up his dasha cycle to around the time that he was assassinated. And it looks like he was assassinated. Oops, I'm sorry. It's a little bit off there, but he was actually assassinated in his moon dasha. But taking a look at his chart, the thing is, RFK never really had the chance to get to his full potential. And taking a look at his chart here, he in his 10th house, if we're really looking for somebody that's going to be in an office, you want to see if they're going to be in his moon dasha, and he was actually very close to his moon dasha, so he had a very good chance of winning. Other things, he had Jupiter and Venus here conjunct in the sign of Sagittarius. Very principled person. So this is a man that actually believed what he says. So we're not talking with somebody who was really delivering lip service to his belief system. Aries ascendant too. This is very interesting. We really don't get a lot of Aryan ascendants becoming president. So I think he would have been one of the first ones that I know of. A lot of presidents tend to be Aquarians or Capricorns. And it's like a Saturnian related thing. The next thing that I take a look at here is his Saturn is exalted conjunct Mars in the 7th house. This is really bad for relationships, specifically because it usually shows an argumentative side to a relationship. So if he was in a relationship, and I know he's widowed, I don't actually foresee that his relationship would have lasted that long. And honestly, we take a look at his Saturn dasha coming here, he probably would have gotten divorced later in life, and he would have had a second marriage. So yeah, this Mars in the 7th house doesn't really help somebody negotiate very well. And it's also too, when Saturn's conjunct Mars, it's very frustrating because Saturn's got all this restrictive energy, even though it's in a sign of exaltation, and Mars is just go, 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 go. And Mars is his Lagna Lord. So this says a lot about RFK. This really shows somebody that, really wanted to do his best with other people, but he was conflicted inside. That's kind of how I'm reading it. Now we have Rahu, and now K2 is conjunct the moon here. Now this is pretty difficult. This can usually show somebody that has a degree of mental illness. Not all the time, but really when it comes in contact with the moon, Rahu or K2, it makes the emotional life fairly difficult too. It can also mean somebody that does die an early death, okay? And then secondly here, we have Mercury and the Sun here in the 8th house. So really when I look at this, this can show somebody that may become president out of nowhere unexpectedly because the Sun is in the 8th house of surprises, and the Sun really represents executive authority. So then I just want to take a quick look at his birth chart. Now his Venus was conjunct Vega, which is a pretty good, decent placement. Let's see, artistic love of enjoyment with Jupiter can promote fame and wealth. Well, Jupiter and Venus kind of have to do with fame and wealth, so I'm going to say that this is kind of how this got activated. So let's go to the transit. Here's what was going on at the time. So I pulled this for 12:05 in Los Angeles, which is where he was assassinated at 12:15 a.m., which I believe when he was assassinated. So take a look right here. We already have this what's this called? I'm sorry, a cardinal cross. This is actually a difficult square right here. It is a literal square. It's a grand cross. And we take a look here. I'm going to take a look for conjunctions. Okay, so we have the Sun conjunct Neptune. Now, this usually shows some sort of deception. So I'm wondering if, I'm not too familiar with Sirhan or why he did it, but this kind of looks like a setup, or he was set up by some, and this is also too in the sign of Scorpio, which really does show conspiracy. So I think somebody conspired to assassinate RFK. Taking a look at this, there was something set up in this, and Sirhan was part of. Well, he was born in Jerusalem, so this could have been a Mossad sting. I mean, this was happening around the time that Israel. They just had the. Let's see, it was 1967, so 68. This is right after they had the Six-Day War, and I think Israel was trying to develop its nuclear program around then, and I don't know how well RFK was really jiving with the Israelis. I'm not saying that this is exactly what happened, but this really shows that there was some sort of plot, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put this into some sort of historical context of what was going on at the time. So, and then you also too have a Neptune conjunct his Jupiter here, so he was also going through this transit, which can also indicate deception. And let's see, and then the ascendant here was also opposed Jupiter and Neptune. Now, the ascendant is valid because we do have the exact time that he was assassinated, which was 12:15 a.m. Let's see, looking over here, yeah, Mercury was retrograde in Gemini. That can be a little bit chaotic. So really, I look at the RFK assassination chart, and this looks like a plot. And, we try to tie this into the Kennedys. I mean, we all know the circumstances surrounding JFK's assassination. And I'm looking at this, and I'm seeing there's some sort of correlation between him and JFK, at least with the motivation for assassination. It's like it didn't happen as everybody said it would happen. Now, let's look at Sirhan. I think this is a relatively recent picture for him. So he was born in Israel in 1948. So he was actually a relatively young man when this happened. I think he was 24, so 1948. Now I'm off a little bit. I think it was 1954. But anyway, he was a young man at the time that this happened. And so when we take a look at Sirhan's chart, I did get the dashas pulled up here, and he was in his moon dasha. Let's see, specifically, he was in his moon Venus dasha. Now, this is where fixed stars really, really come into play. Take a look at this right here. Being in this Venus dasha, his Venus is very close to the fixed star formula and Formahal formula, but it's one of the divine fixed stars, and really it indicates fame or infamy. Now, the next thing that I want you to notice, because this can go one way or another, he has two planets conjunct the fixed star Shet. And Shet is a very difficult fixed star. It says here, with malefics, could cause, what does that say? Catastrophes. Okay. So what was going on here is he was in this dasha, this Venus dasha, which activated this fixed star. So I have actually found that when you have a planet conjunct a fixed star, it will become activated in the dasha of it. And the closer it is to the fixed star, the more powerful it is. This guy has a triple whammy. He has the Star of Fame, but he also has two planets conjunct a very difficult fixed star, one of the most ones in the sky. Let's see, taking a look here, I don't see Algol. Vega. Now, Vega, it's actually, you know what, this is a little bit of synastry with RFK, because he had his, what was it? He had his Venus conjunct Vega, and he also had, so Sirhan had his ascendant conjunct Vega. And with Vega, what I've noticed is since it's part of Sagittarius, he also has his moon there, it really influences self-righteousness. Vega can really be about, I mean, generally it's associated with arts and things like that, but when you put it in the context of this chart, it shows somebody that will become infamous by some sort of calamity. And for him, Sirhan is only known for assassinating RFK. Let's see, other difficult placements here. Saturn in the 6th house. Saturn in the 6th house usually shows somebody that is focused on their enemies, and they tend to win over their enemies, especially here with the Saturn in Taurus. That's a very strong placement for Saturn. It also shows somebody that really doesn't get sick too often. Of course, Sirhan is still alive, and he's at the age of 74. Let's see, Mars here in the 7th house, in the sign of Gemini, somebody that tends to push their push their views onto other people. Now, take a look at this. Jupiter, Rahu, and Pluto all here in the 8th house. Now, I know I've been kind of screaming conspiracy a little bit, but I take a look at this, and of course, we see the same planet here in the 8th house, and it's not in Scorpio, but this kind of goes into the whole. This kind of makes me think about, conspiracy a little bit more. Plus, you have Pluto in there, you have Rahu in there. So let's take a look at Sirhan's transit chart. So you take a look and you take a look down here. You have, let's see, Mars, and there's also another transit going on here with his natal Mars, which is actually his natal Mars and retrograde Mercury are very close to his natal Mars. And this is going to be in the 7th house. So this is a difficult transit. When you have Mercury retrograde in Gemini, it essentially acts like Mercury in Sagittarius, which if you take a look, this is his that's his home sign here, right? That's his ascendant sign. Now this is all in the sign of Taurus, and this is Saturn's also involved in this big conjunction that he has right here. So when we are talking about Sagittarius and Gemini, Sagittarius and Gemini are known for black or white thinking. It's either this way or it's that way. If I can't have it this way, you're going to get it that way, and such and such. Gemini is a little bit more intellectual when it comes to it. When it comes to Sagittarius, it's more about a cause. So Gemini can be more two-faced on the communication level and more on the internal level. With Sagittarius, it's all about if it doesn't match their moral values or if it doesn't match how their worldview, then they tend to discount it. And I really see this in Sirhan's chart. So that's kind of interesting. So, all right. I hope you really enjoyed this cast, and if you want to contact me or if you have any comments, just go ahead and comment below. And this is my first time using Restream, so if I'm not replying to you or responding to you, it's because I'm trying to broadcast to Periscope and YouTube at the same time. So we'll see how well this works out, and I hope that everything is okay with everybody. I'm saying hello to my fellow Periscopers too. Man, I really like you guys because you got me started on this, so much obliged to you. I hope you liked what you saw, and RFK, rest in peace. He would have made an interesting president, that's for sure. That's all I have for today, and hopefully I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.